Thanks for giving me the opportunity to come here and talk to you all today about the Healthy Age Friendly Homes programme and my role as the coordinator in Kilkenny. It's a privilege to be in this role. It was, it's over a year and a half now since the service was set up. So we started with a blank canvas in the service and it has grown enormously since then. So I'm the only coordinator in the Kilkenny area. So just a little bit of information about the programme. So what is the Healthy Age Friendly programme? Well, Mary alluded to it there, what it is. So basically, me as the coordinator in Kilkenny will go out and do an assessment in the home with the older person. And what I'm passionate about, and it is a privilege to be in this role, to be able to support this ethos, is that I'm passionate about keeping the older person in their own homes, independent for as long as we can. So there's lots of things we will touch on that will keep you living independently in your own home, safely, and with dignity, because we all want to stay at home for as long as we can. We all love our own homes. So this is actually a free service, so it doesn't interfere in any of your... People may have the impression that it might interfere with, my medical card or whatever. Not at all. This is a completely free service, and it's available to anyone aged 65 and over. It does not, as I said there, to affect your current home help, medical card, pension or service that you are currently receiving. We all know that everybody is living longer, which is wonderful news. We're all healthy and we're living independently. I know my own mother-in-law is 95 now and she's still driving and out and about and wonderful and living independently and living very well. So I suppose personally I'm very passionate about keeping the older person independent for as long as possible. But we do know by 2031 that anyone over 60, it's going to increase the over 65 by 50%, so it's huge. So I suppose that's why gathering here today, it's great to see a community coming here together and I suppose being proactive in helping you all live independently. And in actual fact, 1 in 5 currently within national figures have issues with their activities of daily living. So that means personal hygiene, mobilisation, stuff like that. So there's a few things we will touch on that that I could maybe help you with or link you into services that would help you. So it's a collaborative, so this is a national initiative, as Mary said, through the Age Friendly. So I work very closely with the local authority, HSE, Gardaí. So we're all working together, so we're all joining the dots really to try and help the older person to remain in their home for as long as possible. So this is a national initiative that was rolled out through Meath, Age Friendly in County Meath, and the local authority in Kilkenny hosts me. So I sit in the local authority in Kilkenny 1 day a week in the Housing Grants section. Funding came from the Department of Health and HSE, so it's a collaborative approach between everybody. So the national rollout, so it was piloted for 2 years, and it was so successful after the 2 years that this was rolled out to 31 counties. So there's one of me in each county. In some counties, there are 2 of me, all right? So maybe someday there will be another Linda that will be. Because at this stage, I think I'll need wings. So this just gives you an idea of the pilot programme, how it was piloted, and then it was rolled out nationally by Minister Mary Butler. It was in July of this year. Okay, you might have seen it on the news. So it's a big programme. It's run through County Meath, and up in County Meath, they take all the referrals, and I'll explain how referrals come into County Meath. We have 6 managers nationally, and we also have 16 admin supports up in County Meath, answering phones, taking referrals. So that's a lot. There's a lot of referrals. So again, I'm passionate about keeping the older person in their home for as long as possible. I cared for an elderly uncle-in-law myself, and he lived in his own home. Now, it mightn't be the standard that everyone would like, but he lived very happily in his own home, independently, until he passed away. It'll be 2 years now, at 96. And it was probably only the last 10 weeks of his life that he deteriorated. So I suppose personally it means a lot to me to try and keep the older person in their home. So you have to live with a sense of independence as well, and have a say in your own your own health and your own saying. We heard today about the think ahead and being proactive about making your own decisions about your own health and everything else. And be and feel part of your community. There was a very interesting talk on the Kirwarn radio show yesterday. I don't know if anybody heard it. And it was with, the Dr. Harry Barry. And there was some psychologist, I can't think of her name now. And it was a really interesting conversation regarding communities. So they say that this sort of a gathering, like in communities here that you have today in Muckley, it's a beautiful venue, that all of that kind of adds to your enrichment. So well done on being proactive and being part of that, because he was sort of saying that we're kind of more driven now to being individuals and being lonely and staying on our own. And I suppose that's coming as well post-COVID as well. And support the avoiding or early or premature admission to long-term care. What I see, and actually my background, I'm nurse as a background, this is not a nursing role, it's a local authority role, but I know how falls can impact the older person. So what we have to try and do is to reduce that risk of fall. So that could be the step, whatever, because what happens when you have a fall? You might break your hip and you end up in hospital, and then you're in hospital and you'll be more susceptible to infection, and then your mobility is affected. So I suppose we try to reduce, I like to think that I try to reduce those risks and help you to kind of prevent those risks from happening. So this is me, the role. So what I do, and I actually brought one here with me today. So this is, referral comes in. So I'll give you all the details of the national office. The referral comes in. So you can actually pick up the phone and refer yourself into the programme. Get referrals from the public health nurses. I get referrals from the occupational therapists, Gardaí, elected representatives, ICPOP. All of those services will send in referrals. So when the referral comes in, it comes in through County Meath. That is fed down to me in the Kilkenny area, or wherever. It could be Cork, it could be Limerick, it could be Dublin, wherever. And I can view your system. So when I get the referral, I call you and I arrange a visit. A bit like what Rob was saying, we make contact and we arrange a visit that would suit you and that would suit me. So I call out to you then. And when I call out to you, I bring this little pack with me. So in this little pack, there's lots of information. So we discuss, we sit down, we have a chat. I ask you about your health, anything that you want to share with me. We have a look at your house. Are you living in a 2-story? Are you living in a bungalow? Have you steps up to your front door? We also discuss, are you connected to any services in the community? Do you know your bus routes? We've great bus routes now, it's wonderful. I was coming through Kells there and I saw the TFI, the bus route coming up through Kells, and I said, God, it's great to see that. And we also would discuss, are you connected socially with people? Are you isolated? Are you lonely? What else would we discuss? So are you getting the idea of what would we discuss in the in the assessment? So following on from that, we come up with a support plan. Now, this assessment could take about an hour and a half to 2 hours. So it's a long assessment. So we sit down and we discuss, you might need a stair lift. You might need a wet room. So how do I go about that? What do I do? So there's grants available in the local authority. Okay, now, forms are quite complicated and they do put people off. So what I will do is I will assist you in filling out that form. So I will tell you what you need for that form. You'll need things like your property tax, proof of income, they need photographs. So there's a lot involved in submitting a grant application to the local authority. So these are medically approved grants now as well. You have to get your doctor to sign them. Because when I first started in the role, people were overwhelmed with the forms. And how do I get my proof of income even? Where do I go? So I suppose that's why I give you clear instructions and I write it down and we go through it, and I'm there to kind of handhold you as best I can. So I can go back out to you again and again if you need me. So there's grants available for ramps, stair lifts, wet rooms, window replacements, but they all have conditions now as well. What else? I'm trying to think. Alarms, well that's another thing. That will be a separate thing that we would talk about. Okay, the personal alarms, you're absolutely right. That's true, the family cares. Heating, the roof repairs. So this is all about future planning. For example, I'm actually planning one downstairs. I built my house 30 years ago and it's not age friendly. at all. So I suppose when I came into this role, I now have a helicopter vision of the house, and I'm saying, oh gosh, this is so not age friendly. And particularly I had a knee replacement in, November last year, and I was stuck upstairs and I realised, oh my God, and with a cup and try to hold on to the banister, very difficult. So after that I said to myself, that's it, we need a wet room downstairs. So my husband said, not at all, he said, we don't need that. I said, we absolutely do. I suppose personally now I have that vision as well, but there's also, I suppose, to keep you safe, falls prevention. I was out at a house yesterday, for example, and there was 2 big steps up. Now, they were quite steep. That's a real risk that you could kind of trip, because when we get to a certain age, our balance is affected. I would probably recommend a ramp there for that individual. So when the application is filled in and we have all the information gathered, it's submitted to the Housing Grants section in the local authority there in Johns Green. And in housing grants, they process it, so they have a look at it. I don't approve grants, I don't do anything like that, but I do work with the girls in the admin in housing grants. So I would probably advocate for clients that I would be going out to visit, and I would be kind of keeping up to date with that information, or is there any missing information or whatever. So I would be linking in with them. What happens then after that is an occupational therapist will go out to your home, and the occupational therapist will have a look, and she or he will do a report. That report goes back into the county council, and building has to be done as per OT's report. You are means tested. Now they did increase the threshold to 100% in the grants, but you are means tested and pending on your pension. So your proof of your income, your pension. Some people may have a private pension as well. Anything over 75,000, you won't get a grant. I suppose when I go to visit you in your home and we talk about that, you might be, I've gone into houses and there's bags of pharmacy, there's bags of tablets everywhere. And some people are getting confused. You know, I might suggest to you that maybe a blister pack would be of benefit to you. So something like that. I could put you in contact maybe through your GP with your public health nurse. So that would be another part of my role as well. Can access services like the ICPOP that goes through the GP. So all of these services, you have to go through your GP. But what I do, I suppose, in my role is I'm like the bridge between those services. So I can link you in to those services and where to go. How do I find them? Where do I go? What do I do? I agree with you that we have a lot more to do, but we have come a long way too. We have, and when I first started my nursing career, the changes I have seen has been absolutely phenomenal. And it's wonderful to see that within our communities and to keep it all, before everything was up in Dublin, you'd have to go to Dublin, but now we have more access to our local services. So I suppose that's what I do, is I link into all of those services. And we have an age-friendly lady in Jan, technical advisor in our local authority. And I would have conversations with her as well, and senior engineers about, how we can progress and make our area more age-friendly. Like we're doing very well in Kilkenny. We have another bit to go as well. I acknowledge that. So that's what I was saying. I signpost you to the service, HSE, etc., GP. How do I get home support, the home help and that? How do I access that? So I would help you along the way, so this hand-holding. Now, some individuals would need a lot of hand-holding, a lot of support. Some people, if I work with your families and we can come up with a plan, implement the actions, that's the most important thing. I can do all the talking in the world, but am I acting on it? So I need to do that. Am I implementing the actions that we discussed? And then are we progressing? So are we getting from A to B? There's one application form and there's 3 grants on the one application form. So there's a mobility access grant, there's for older persons grant, and there's disability grant. But the girls in housing grant section, they will have a look at your application and they decide which one would work best. I have one gentleman who's getting the mobility access grant, and he's also getting the HOP grant. That's what they're called. I know they're abbreviations for the older person. The housing grant, yeah. So he's actually getting 2 grants. We started out, that gentleman had no heating in his home. So we got the grant for a boiler So he had heating. That was his most urgent need. And then we looked at his mobility was very poor. I saw that on my assessment, and he was going up the stairs, and he had had a lot of falls and frequent admissions to hospital. I advised him that maybe a stair lift would be of benefit. So he said yes, absolutely. We applied to the local authority for a stair lift. That was approved, that's installed. His front door was broken. He had plywood at one side of the door, and it was cold and it wasn't secure. I was nervous because he lives alone. So we got a front door for him as well. And finally, his bathroom, because we're preparing for when he needs this, we got a wet room. So he's just finished this week with all of those little things that have been done. So that's been a long process, and the difference in him is unbelievable. These grants are excluding that. I talk about this when I visit you. Another gentleman that I worked with, he was sleeping upstairs, mobility very poor. Again, he was a falls risk. I was nervous that he would fall and break his hip. So we identified a room downstairs that he could move his bed down there. Now, you have to be in agreement to all of this. I don't go in there guns blazing and say, you need to do this, or you need to do that, or you need to change this. The person themselves has to want change too. And sometimes it might be on the first visit. We might have to build up a bit of a rapport. And this gentleman then, his kitchen, he was grieving. He'd lost his partner. He was sad. He was grieving. And he just didn't have the energy or the wherewithal to kind of do the kitchen or whatever. But basically, we got his heating fixed. We got a hospital bed because it's more comfortable and it's safer in the room downstairs for him. His kitchen was done, and we also got his wet room done as well. So that's all on the ground floor now. And when I went to see him, he had put on weight, he was smiling, and he said, I can never thank you all enough for helping me out. I suppose that's where I get the joy of seeing somebody go from A to B, and he's set up now. And like, for example, if he went into hospital in an emergency and the hospital want to get him home, he can say to them in the hospital, well, I'm set up. I have my bed downstairs, I have my bathroom, it's all set up for carers if they can come in. Rather than waiting for the catastrophe to happen, and then there's all this rush to try and get things done. Because these things don't happen quickly. For those two men, they were 7 to 8 months of hard work of trying to get everything over the line, and we did. So they're complete success. So no limit to the amount of visits. Some people I might only be with them once, could be with them twice, 3 times. Those two gentlemen I'm speaking about have had lots of visits with them. So as I said, self-referral, friends and families with consent, community groups, elective representatives. I work closely with the elected representatives. We're probably doing similar work, and we kind of touch base, occupational therapist, GP. We support everyone who's over 65. There's your home visit. We discuss, as I said, a support plan, and we action it, and we track the progress. I put you in touch with your health, as I said, public health nurses, chiropody services, eye checks, things like that. How do I go about this? Technology. So there's technology that can keep you safe in your home as well. People might be familiar as well with, the little red button, the panic alarm, that can be got through the Family Carers Association. There's another piece of technology out there, it's a watch called the Pan watch. I know, for example, personally, my uncle-in-law was, he was still down out on the farm up to a few months before he passed away, and he had a fall in the yard, and I was away working. No, you see, it won't work. The red button won't work outside the house. The watch does, anywhere. So if he had fallen and he didn't even activate the button himself, that would have gone to the emergency services at the call centre, and they would have activated. It's well worth it. What I said, I was with a lady yesterday, and I said, like that is it is expensive. Yeah, to buy, I think it's about 180 to buy it straight off, and then you have to pay a monetary fee every month of about 17 or 18 euros. I say, well, look, Christmas is coming up. How many of us, including my own daughters, get bottles of body lotion that we don't want, Things like that. So I said to this lady, if you do want to get it, maybe just say, this is my Christmas present, or this is my birthday present. I have one because I'm a lone worker, and I find it great because I like to go for a walk in the woods and I would have been nervous and cautious on my own before, but now I wear this and I feel great. I also discuss, have you heard of the Warmer Home Schemes, the SEAI grants? So I would advise you on that. So there's they're European funding, so there's grants available. That's to retrofit your house and to make it warm. So technicians would come out and they do an assessment on your home, how cold is your house, and then they would make their recommendations. I would also talk about some individuals I've helped them get carers allowance, care support grant. Some people weren't in receipt of their fuel allowance or household benefits or things like that, so supplementary welfare. Some individuals, we got medical cards for them. So things like that as well I would help out with. And I told you now about there's one of the gentlemen there, he has his wet room done and his stair lift. Did you see it there? Yeah. So look, listen, I'd love to stay and talk to you here for longer now, but I'm just conscious of time and there may be some questions. And look, there is a waiting list. So I'm sorry about that, but I suppose it's the nature of the success of the programme, and I will get to you if I can. And before I go, actually, I should say to you, if anybody is interested in an assessment, the number is, you just ring the County Meath office. It's an 046 number. So it's 046 924 8899. You can also refer, if you're good with technology, we have a web form as well, they call it, that you can refer online. So when you ring County Meath, they'll ask you things like, name, date of birth, address, area code, consent, and then that's fed down to me then. If you do register with the programme and you need to talk to me about something, just ring the 046 number and say, can you get Linda to give me a call? I want to talk to her. And I will get back to you as soon as I can.